National Electrical Code Section 800.49 requires electrical equipment to be located in dry locations unless specifically listed for wet locations. Restrooms are not typically considered dry locations due to the presence of moisture from sinks, toilets, and hand dryers. National Fire Protection Association 70 Section 406.8 prohibits electrical equipment from being installed in hazardous locations, including bathrooms containing flammable liquids or combustible materials. Restrooms can experience fluctuations in humidity and moisture levels, which can affect electrical equipment. Sensitive electronics and patch panels may be susceptible to damage or malfunction in such conditions. Patch panels in restrooms could be exposed to bacteria and other contaminants, which may pose a health risk. Patch panels contain sensitive telecommunication equipment. Locating them in a public area like a restroom could increase the risk of unauthorized access or tampering. As alternatives, firstly, install patch panels in a dedicated telecommunication closet that is well ventilated and protected from moisture. Secondly, consider installing patch panels under counter in a restroom vanity. This would provide some protection from moisture and maintain accessibility. Based on code requirements and practical concerns, it is generally not advisable to locate telephone patch panels in restrooms. If there is no alternative, it is crucial to ensure that the equipment is specifically listed for wet locations and is properly protected from moisture and other environmental hazards. The presence of moisture is a significant concern. Humidity and potential water splashes can corrode connections and damage sensitive electronic components within the patch panel. This can lead to unreliable network performance, intermittent connectivity, or complete failure of the system. Sanitation is another critical factor. Restrooms are inherently prone to bacteria, viruses, and other contaminants. Exposing patch panels to this environment can create hygiene issues and potentially compromise the integrity of the equipment. Regular cleaning and disinfection of patch panels in such locations would be necessary, adding to maintenance costs and complexity. Security is also a relevant consideration. Placing patch panels in a public restroom increases the risk of unauthorized access, tampering, or even theft. This could lead to data breaches, network disruptions, or physical damage to the equipment. Implementing security measures, such as locked enclosures or surveillance systems, would be essential to mitigate these risks. Beyond code compliance, several practical considerations should be taken into account. Accessibility for maintenance and repairs is a key factor. Restrooms are often small and confined spaces, making it difficult to access and work on patch panels. This can increase the time and cost of repairs, as well as create safety hazards for technicians. Environmental control is also important. Restrooms typically lack adequate ventilation and temperature control, which can affect the performance and lifespan of patch panels. Overheating, condensation, and other environmental factors can contribute to equipment failure. Design considerations also play a role. The layout and aesthetics of the restroom should be taken into account when determining the location of patch panels. Exposed cables, conduits, and other hardware can be unsightly and disrupt the overall appearance of the space. Careful planning and coordination with architects and interior designers are necessary to ensure a seamless integration. Alternatives to locating patch panels in restrooms should be thoroughly explored. Telecommunication closets or equipment rooms are specifically designed to house networking equipment and provide a controlled environment. These spaces typically offer better ventilation, temperature control, security, and accessibility than restrooms. If a telecommunication closet is not available, other options may include under-counter cabinets or wall-mounted enclosures in less sensitive areas of the building. These alternatives can provide a degree of protection from moisture, contamination, and unauthorized access. When evaluating the suitability of a location for patch panels, it is essential to consult with qualified electrical engineers, telecommunication specialists, and code compliance officers. These professionals can provide expert guidance and ensure that all applicable codes and standards are met. A thorough risk assessment should also be conducted to identify potential hazards and develop appropriate mitigation strategies. In some cases, it may be necessary to obtain permits or approvals from local authorities before installing patch panels in unconventional locations. Proper documentation and labeling of all equipment and wiring are essential for future maintenance and troubleshooting. Clear and accurate labeling can help technicians quickly identify and resolve problems, minimizing downtime and reducing the risk of errors. Regular inspections and maintenance of patch panels are also crucial to ensure their continued performance and reliability. This includes checking for loose connections, corrosion, damage, and other signs of wear and tear. Promptly addressing any issues can prevent more serious problems from developing. In conclusion, while the National Electrical Code and National Fire Protection Association 70 may not explicitly prohibit the installation of telephone patch panels in restrooms, several factors make this practice generally inadvisable. Moisture, sanitation, security, accessibility, and environmental control are all significant concerns that should be carefully considered. Exploring alternative locations, consulting with qualified professionals, and implementing appropriate mitigation strategies can help ensure the safety, reliability, and longevity of the telecommunications system. If, after careful consideration of all factors, it is determined that locating patch panels in restrooms is the only viable option, it is essential to take extra precautions to protect the equipment from environmental hazards and unauthorized access. This may include using enclosures specifically designed for wet or corrosive environments, implementing security measures such as locked cabinets or surveillance systems, and establishing a regular maintenance schedule to ensure the continued performance and reliability of the system. It is also important to ensure that all work is performed by qualified electricians and telecommunication technicians who are familiar with the applicable codes and standards. The installation should be thoroughly inspected and tested to verify that it meets all safety and performance requirements. Finally, it is crucial to document all decisions and actions taken in relation to the location of patch panels in restrooms. This documentation should include a detailed risk assessment, a description of the mitigation strategies implemented, and a record of all inspections and maintenance activities. This documentation can be valuable in the event of future problems or audits. The specific requirements for electrical installations in restrooms may vary depending on local codes and regulations. It is therefore essential to consult with local authorities and obtain any necessary permits or approvals before proceeding with the installation. In addition to the technical considerations, it is also important to consider the aesthetic impact of locating patch panels in restrooms. Exposed cables, conduits, and other hardware can be unsightly and detract from the overall appearance of the space. Careful planning and coordination with architects and interior designers can help minimize this impact. One option is to conceal the patch panels behind a decorative panel or in a recessed enclosure. Another option is to use cable management systems to organize and hide the cables. It is also important to consider the potential for future expansion or modification of the telecommunication system. The location of patch panels in restrooms may limit the ability to add new equipment or make changes to the existing system. It is therefore important to plan for future needs and ensure that the chosen location can accommodate them. The cost of installing and maintaining patch panels in restrooms should also be taken into account. The need for specialized enclosures, security measures, and regular maintenance can add to the overall cost of the system. It is therefore important to weigh the costs and benefits of locating patch panels in restrooms against the costs and benefits of alternative locations. In some cases, it may be more cost-effective to relocate the patch panels to a more suitable location, even if it requires some initial investment. The potential for water damage is a major concern when locating patch panels in restrooms. Even if there are no showers or bathtubs in the restroom, there is still a risk of water damage from leaks, spills, or condensation. Water damage can cause corrosion, short circuits, and other problems that can damage the patch panels and disrupt the telecommunication system. To mitigate this risk, it is important to use enclosures that are specifically designed to protect against water damage. These enclosures should be watertight and should be made of corrosion-resistant materials. It is also important to ensure that the enclosures are properly sealed to prevent water from entering. In addition to water damage, there is also a risk of damage from cleaning chemicals. Restrooms are often cleaned with harsh chemicals that can damage the patch panels. To mitigate this risk, it is important to use enclosures that are resistant to cleaning chemicals. These enclosures should be made of materials that will not be damaged by the chemicals. It is also important to ensure that the enclosures are properly sealed to prevent the chemicals from entering. The risk of vandalism is another concern when locating patch panels in restrooms. Restrooms are often targeted by vandals who may damage or steal the patch panels. To mitigate this risk, it is important to use enclosures that are resistant to vandalism. These enclosures should be made of strong materials that cannot be easily broken or pried open. It is also important to install security measures, such as alarms or surveillance cameras, to deter vandals. The location of patch panels in restrooms can also affect the accessibility of the telecommunications system for people with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act requires that telecommunications systems be accessible to people with disabilities. This means that the patch panels must be located in a place that is accessible to people in wheelchairs or with other mobility impairments. The height of the patch panels must also be within reach of people in wheelchairs. In addition to the physical accessibility of the patch panels, it is also important to ensure that the telecommunications system is accessible to people with hearing or vision impairments. This may require the use of assistive listening devices or visual aids. The installation of patch panels in a restroom in northern Indiana, or anywhere for that matter, presents a unique set of challenges due to the potential for extreme temperature fluctuations and humidity levels, especially during seasonal changes. These conditions can exacerbate the risks already associated with moisture and sanitation in a restroom environment. The repeated expansion and contraction of materials due to temperature variations can weaken connections and seals over time, increasing the likelihood of water intrusion and corrosion. Therefore, it is paramount to select enclosures and materials specifically rated to withstand these environmental stresses and to implement rigorous maintenance schedules to detect and address any signs of degradation promptly. In addition to the potential for water damage from leaks and spills, condensation can also be a significant concern, particularly in environments with high humidity and temperature fluctuations. When warm, moist air comes into contact with cooler surfaces, condensation can form, leading to corrosion and electrical problems. To mitigate this risk, consider using enclosures with built-in ventilation or dehumidification systems to maintain a stable and dry internal environment. Another consideration is the potential for exposure to harsh chemicals and cleaning agents used in restroom maintenance. These substances can degrade materials over time, leading to premature failure of the patch panels and related components. Select enclosures and materials that are resistant to the specific chemicals used in the restroom cleaning routine and establish protocols to prevent direct contact between these substances and the telecommunication equipment. Finally, remember that safety is paramount. Ensure that all electrical work is performed by qualified professionals who are familiar with local codes and regulations. Implement lockout/tagout procedures during maintenance to prevent accidental energization of equipment and conduct regular safety inspections to identify and address potential hazards. By carefully considering these factors and implementing appropriate safeguards, you can minimize the risks associated with locating patch panels in restrooms and ensure the reliable and safe operation of your telecommunication system.